Hey guys, these turns are a lot quicker. Shit. I'm sorry if I cough every now and again in this. I have a cold and I feel like crap, so yeah. Anyway, Frey's got a ceasefire. Good.
Au revoir, Seigneur.
We won't upload this until Frey's played his turn, because it's a very important turn. I've done some testing with Stark's movement points and everything, and I'm pretty sure we can pull this off. Victory should be completely 100% assured. Although I always leave room for the will of the gods and whatnot. Stark's gone smackdown over for Golden Tooth, which is fine. That leaves us an opening. Stark, however, and I've tested this, can't get past these forts. This pass is so fucking narrow that even with military access, Stark's forces cannot pass that Frey fort, which is well and good if we trust Frey completely, which his next turn will determine whether or not he's actually loyal, because this is when he'll be betraying Stark and us basically kicking his ass. But even if Frey, for instance, is just screwing with us and is loyal to Stark, and he empties that fort to let Stark pass with his force, Stark's infantry is not in range. The Blackfish is also not in range because he doesn't have the movement points. The only forces that are in range for Stark to send over to stop the siege in Oxcross would be his cavalry. And even his cavalry doesn't have enough movement points to attack this square, or that square. They can only attack around here. Allow me to give you an example. I'll show you the testing that I've done. So here's Stark's stack, basically where about he's standing. The infantry has about this much movement points. This is all assuming that Walder Frey and Frey's forces don't put a fort there. If the fort stays there, then Stark 100% can't get past. And if Frey is loyal to us, then Stark 100% can't get past. Victory will be assured. But I'm not going to do an entire siege based on whether or not one player is loyal to us. So, we'll keep into mind, and we'll assume that Frey is not. So we want to ensure victory, assuming that Frey is not with us. If he is, then brilliant, but if he isn't, you know. So, only Stark's cavalry can actually reach us. The cavalry units, and Stark himself with Robb and whatnot. He can't actually attack, well, for our test thing here, we'll use Lionel Frey. We'll use Frey. Lionel Frey here is our Night Fighter, and Davin is our non-Night Fighter. So, if Stark wanted to attack, he'd have to only bring the cavalry capable of reaching. He'd have to come down here. And he'd have to attack. Which he can't attack my Night Fighter directly. But he can attack this directly. Now, the way night fighting works is the army that you are actually directly attacking is completely immune. It's not affected by Night Fighter because you're directly attacking that force. So, Davin Lannister wouldn't be affected by the Night Fighter. And in our actual playtime, where Lionel Frey is being affected by Night Fighter here, in an actual game, Lionel Frey would be replaced by the Night Fighter guy. So, yeah. Basically, Stark's Night Fighter thing would be of absolutely no use, even if he does move down all of his cavalry. He'll have to have enough forces to take on both of our full stacks, which is not going to happen. So, without further explanation, that explanation probably confused the shit out of you, we'll show you what we're going to do in the actual save. Okay then, assuming, of course, again, that Frey is not with us. If he is, then none of this is a problem. But we'll assume that he isn't. Robb Stark can move down there, right above to us, and he can attack Davin Lannister. But when he uses Night Fighter, it won't affect Prester, because Prester has Night Fighter as well. Night Fighter not affecting Davin, because he's being directly attacked by Robb Stark and the enemy. Oxcross can't sally out either, but even if Oxcross had a Night Fighter inside, again, they'd have to sally out and attack Davin Lannister, and Prester wouldn't be affected because he's Night Fighter. They can't sally out and attack Prester, because Prester won't be actually laying siege. Alright, now we just have to move all of our best units over to Prester. Alright, that's all my best units, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 armored spearmen and 2 armored swordsmen. Those alone are pretty fucking good. The rest will be filled up with the levy spearmen, with the best upgraded armor that I've got. And then we just put the units inside with Davin, which should amount to about a full stack. There we go. Basically, 2 full stacks laying siege to Oxcross, which, in theory, Devon will be attacked by Robb, and basically Stark will have no chance in hell of beating us. That is, like, you know, assuming that Frey can actually moves and isn't actually with us, which he should be, in theory. I'm quite confident of Frey's loyalty, but we'll see what happens. I always like to plan for the worst, so to speak. Yeah, I'm confident of this siege. By my best calculations, Robb can get... Wait a minute, if we... I've got to do for a second. Yeah, okay, so his infantry are completely off the table. They cannot reach. Impossible. His cavalry can, barely. And like I said, they can only attack Davin, so that means both of the stacks will be fine. Night Fighter isn't a factor here. Assuming that... Anyway, it should be. Even if it is, we still win, pretty much. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9... the Blackfish and, yeah, I'd say 10 and be generous. These guys are infantry, they don't count. So 10, 11, 12, yeah, like 14 units. Let's be generous and say 15 units. Yeah, basically 15 units, counting the spearmen inside of there. 15 units against 40. I'm fairly confident of victory, basically. And even if, by some weird-ass miracle, he was able to attack my Night Fighter and separate him from Davin from the battle, my Night Fighter's army is really badass. And there's no way in hell he'd be able to beat both of them. That's just never going to happen.
Yes, noble sire.
So basically, victory is assured. If Frey's loyal, and we'll find out in the next turn when he plays, I mean, that will literally be the defining moment where we find out where Frey's loyalties lie. Yeah. If Frey's loyal, then we won't have to worry about any of this, because Stark cannot get past Frey's fort, and all Frey has to do is literally place one fort there, blocking off Stark, and then we can take both Castamere and Ashmark back. So yes, victory is basically assured. We just have to move around the rest of my troops in the west now. And the first order of business is I want to keep these 2 forts alive. It just stops these guys inside this fort from fucking off around Silverhill. If they want to fuck into the west, that's fine, because I can annihilate them afterwards. But I want to block them off from being able to go towards Hornvale and cause damage. So send you guys here, and you guys can go there. That's 4 inside of there. You 2 can go over there. That's 3. Westerling, you can come over here. There you go. Those 2 forts are secured, nice and safe. That just stops these generals from causing trouble over in Hornvale. If they want to cause trouble and go towards Castle Rock, that's fine, because Castle Rock will be filled with shit. So it doesn't particularly matter.
Orders. Yes, sire. Your will, sire. By your command.
And we'll begin to move these guys up as well in a moment. But that basically sums up the majority of what we're doing in the west. Although, screw it, we'll go all in. We're going all in, so to speak.
Fine day to sail. Yes, sire.
Yeah, we'll go here and lay siege to this. Assuming, of course, that these forces cannot in any way defeat those. Those are all cavalry. So, against spearmen? Yeah, outnumbered, outmatched. That's never going to happen. I highly doubt they can actually lift that at all. Not on their own, anyway. They might, if these forces, if Daisy Mormon and the Spear Militia were able to help, they might be able to do something. Especially if these forces were, but this siege is assuming that Frey is loyal. Because Frey has half a stack right here. Frey can siege Castamere from this side. He can siege Ashmark as well. And he can place a single fort there to block Robb Stark off and trap him at the Golden Tooth. All of this assuming that Frey is loyal. The worst case is Frey isn't loyal and we lose this fort up here. We lose this siege up here and these troops retreat into these ships. Alright, that sums up everything in the west. I've also moved up all of my lower southern garrisons and replaced them with militia units. So they'll join in the front lines next turn at Castle Rock around that area. Our fleet will be ready in a couple of turns. 6 for the War Galley and the rest of them in due time. These 2 forts will stop Stop these generals here from sneaking around Oxcross and causing too much damage. If they go towards Casterly Rock, they're screwed. I just don't want them going towards Hornvale. There's no way they'll be in range now that these two forts are blocking them. Our worst case scenario is Frey is loyal to Stark, in which case this siege here will fail. And Golden Tooth is going to fall either way. There's nothing we can do about that. Even if Frey is loyal and lets Stark pass through there, they do not have the troops to beat this 2 full stacks. Not in a million years will that happen. It's probably going to happen. I always leave room for getting screwed by the universe, but hopefully it shouldn't happen. I don't see it happening. I'm pretty confident in the victory there at Oxcross. Especially if Frey is loyal, then 100% absolutely no way in hell that Stark can win. Because if Frey's loyal, then both Ashmark and Castamere and this fort and basically everything will befall, and Stark will find himself trapped at the Golden Tooth. At which point we can then push alongside Frey, resecure the Golden Tooth, push against Wayward's Rest and Riverrun, and Kevin can join up in the siege there as well. So yes, without further ado, we will deal with the Riverlands. Alright, I sent Kevin's majority forces and all his decent troops up to Stonehenge to defend that. So that leaves Tywin Lannister in command of Stonehenge. And in range of all the forts, in range of that fort, in range of this fort, and in range of that. And Kevin will deal with Acorn Hall right now and hopefully not take too much loss in the doing. I hate when this shit happens. Reloading. There you go, much better. For those of you wondering, by the way, reloading is not illegal. It's perfectly legal. It's entirely a very large amount of part of what hot seating is. Like, the previous video got like 3 dislikes or something, and I think it's because of reloading and idiots thinking that that's illegal and I'm cheating. I'm not. Excessive reloading, like 100 times to get a ridiculous outcome on odds that are just completely not fair, that's illegal. Reloading to get a battle that you can win, no, that's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Anyway, with Acorn Hall done, these guys will come over here. There you go. Pink Maiden will fall. Kevin will take that. He also makes him in range of the fort at Riverrun if need be.
My lord. Yes, sire. The siege goes as planned, sire.
Acorn Hall will get a militia. Stonehenge is in range of all of this. That's fine. Now we just need to do the fortifications at Darry and Harrenhal. Since the Arryns are sieging Saltbands. The Arryns are with us, allegedly. He says he is. Whether or not he actually is, Para may be inclined to go, oh look, the Lannisters are getting too easy or something, and then he may attack us because of reasons. I don't know. He's yet to prove himself. Laying siege to Saltbands isn't really that. But we'll see. We shall keep an eye on the Vale, but, you know, all the same. Bolton is actually fucked off back up. He's hiding in these trees about right fucking here. Which Frey may be able to defeat him. I'm not sure how many troops he's got up there, but we'll see. Anyway, let's do these forts, shall we? Just to demonstrate what this is going to look like from Stark's point of view. You can only siege that with 1 force. You can only siege Darry with 1 force, and you can only siege this fort here with 1 force. So all I need is 1 stack on the edge of this to defend any siege that is attempted. Also, this fort up here, obviously, but that's in range as well. So all I need is really 1 full stack able to defend this entire river. But that is just to give you an idea of what the fort wall looks like from the enemy's perspective. Alright, we're building a bunch of militia in Harrenhal, as well as a spear levy when I can. Militia in here. But these militia units will replace the spear levy and the decent troops that are inside the forts. So when the 2 militia go in, 2 of the spear levies go back to Harrenhal and defend every region that there is. So, you know. If this game keeps crashing, I'm going to break its fucking legs. Anyway. We're basically done. The river crossing here is completely secured. Arryn is allegedly our ally, but, you know, I'm going to send them a message suggesting that they go north and help the Freys against Bolton's stack, which is over there. And once Bolton's dealt with, they can either push into the north or help me with the rest of the Riverlands, join up with Frey at the Twins and cross and do the rest of that. That's all assuming that Frey is, in fact, our ally. If Frey isn't our ally, I'll still suggest that Arryn goes north and only, rather than helping the Freys, he kills the Freys and takes all their shit. Which I'm sure he'd rather do. But if the Freys are loyal, then we're going to, you know, use them. We're certainly not going to turn them away. The siege of Oxcross is relatively secured, like we're quite confident in that regard. The siege over at Castamere relies entirely on Frey's loyalties and him sieging all the stuff, which I'm going to leave him some detailed instructions on what he needs to do. I'm going to move these princesses and start moving them over here so that some of them can join up and man these forts that I've got in the Riverlands, because then that will secure those forts and make them unbribable. Especially now, since if the Oxcross thing works, I don't need so many of them over here to secure forts. So they're of more use in the Riverlands. On a final note, our princesses are moving over here, but this girl here is set to marry Willis Tyrell, the heir to Highgarden. And interestingly enough, a little tidbit, Marjorie Tyrell has married Tommen Joffrey of the House Baratheon. So it's Queen Marjorie now, and the Reach is with us, firmly. And it's quite likely the player, Loom, hello Loom, you shouldn't be watching this. You might be secretly planning on breaking this blood alliance, and that'll be the end of you. I'll kick your ass, you do that, you little shit. But anyway, yeah. He's got the marriage alliance, so it's very unlikely that Loom plans to actually betray us now, so yeah. The loyalty of Highgarden is pretty much secured, which is good. So my southern borders are basically fine, especially once I marry Serena Lannister, Davin's eldest sister, to Willis. That will secure the West and bond the West with Highgarden and whatnot. So yeah, without further ado, we'll leave it here. That is all for now. I'll see you guys in turn 4.